Night of the Living Dead, the original, is a 1968 film that was written and directed by George A. Romero. Now, the plot of this movie is you meet this girl Barbara and her brother Johnny. They're going to their father's gravesite to pay their respects until what looks like just this random person trying to attack them for whatever reason. No, they eventually realize that he is a zombie. Yes, the zombie apocalypse has started, and for the rest of the film, you get this group of people go to this abandoned house and try to survive for as long as they can. Now, what I think of the original Night of the Living Dead is, you know, this movie, in so many ways, is a classic. It's the original. What more can I say about this film? Let's start with probably my favorite thing about this movie is we have this guy, Dwayne Jones, plays Ben. And I like him as the main character, or essentially the hero of the movie, because not only does he have a good presence in the film, but he's the only black guy in this movie. And for 1968, having a black leading man as the hero in your horror movie was virtually unheard of. And I know George Romero doesn't like to admit that he casted this guy just because he's black, but even if he did, I think it was great. I admire the guy that he took a chance like that he wanted the strongest guy in the movie to be a black guy. And I like how when he's with Barbara and she's just freaking out and she's just up and screaming and yelling, he smacks her in the face and says, "Shut the fuck up," basically, and says we need to be calm, cool, and collected if we're going to survive whatever the fuck is going on. And I guess for 1968, you can just slap around women and it's no big deal. But still, it kind of caught me off guard. Now, as far as the actual zombies themselves go, they're creepy, sure. We don't ever, until this one point where this car blows up and there's a dead body inside and the zombies pick at the pieces of the dead body and eat it. But for most of the film, you don't really see the zombies like bite into people and stuff like that. And that sort of threw me off because obviously it's what me and a lot of people are used to when they see zombies. But it's like at the beginning, especially with the first guy who attacks them, I guess you're just not supposed to know what's really going on. So he never really tries to bite Barbara, for example. He even picks up a rock and tries to like break her window. And I'm like, wow, these zombies at least originally started off smarter than they are now. And when there's more of them in a group, that's where they're obviously most dangerous, like when they just start coming more and more to the house. Now, obviously, this is, like I said, a 1968 film, so it's very old. It's in black and white, and I don't know how many people are willing to watch black and white films. There's a part of me that, when I watch this, it makes me almost think of it more like a classic, and maybe even think of it that it's better than it probably really is, just because it looks so classic, just because how straight and serious they played it. Like, there's one moment where Barbara's sitting there and she's listening to the radio, and the radio is just talking about how crazy what's going on and how these murderers are eating their victims in the flesh. And then when they're watching the news and seeing all of the news anchors talk about this and just how straight they played, that's some of the creepier stuff in the film, because again, there's not a lot of gore or blood, at least what we're used to. So seeing them react to the news playing it like it's a real event, I thought, oh, that was pretty creepy. Sure, you're gonna have some people who, if they watch this now, they're gonna say, it's pretty slow. I do admit it is kind of a slow movie. It's not something I'm gonna put in all the time if I want to watch like a badass, cool horror film. But I more respect what George Romero pulled off with this original movie. The fact that before this, zombies were just kind of known in like African culture and tribes as the voodoo that they do to bring the dead back to life. That's really all that zombies were known as. So the fact that George Romero brought zombies into our pop culture. I mean, look how big zombies are today. And that has a lot to do with George Romero and this movie. This movie was made for like $100,000, which sounds a lot less now. Even back then, it's still not that much of a budget. But it ended up making like close to $40 million worldwide. That's incredible. That's what I call a big, huge success. At the time, it was the highest grossing horror film of all time. So to say that this movie deserves the respect, deserves the critical acclaim, the accolation that it gets, is an understatement. I will say it's not my favorite zombie movie of all time, but again, I respect it. I especially respect George Romero for everything that he put into this movie, and just, you could tell the guerrilla style that he made this movie in. Again, as an inspiring filmmaker myself, I can't stress enough how much I love those aspects of the film. So anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of the original 1968 Night of the Living Dead? Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Later!